Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. Behind me, you see the remnants of the Wrestle Center. From if you've been watching these videos from back in 2010, right there we've got the new and improved WCW Nitro Grill that made its debut roughly around 2011, 2012. We're sitting outside. We're on a couch in my driveway because I need to throw it on the corner, but I need to get another room cleaned out in the house, so I need to be pulling a lot more stuff out to make a junk pile for the trash people to come pick up for us. The last one was enormously huge, but we're gearing up for SummerSlam this weekend. I can honestly tell you that I'm pumped for one match on the card. There might be a few more matches on the show that are really good. There's a lot of people out there looking forward to seeing Sheamus versus Cesaro. We've seen Sheamus for a long time. Honestly, in my mind, I think we've seen everything that we can see out of this guy. Cesaro is a guy that has great matches with just about anybody on the card, big guys, little guys. I'm really hoping that this best of 7 series, which obviously is going to go 7 matches, I'm really hoping that it pulls something out of Sheamus to really make him something that people really see him as a guy. I know that a lot of people were, giving the match that they had, I believe on Raw, a really good reviews, basically saying that, it was a lot like the New Japan style of wrestling with the G1, and that it was really showing a different side of both of these guys that we hadn't seen in WWE. They're letting them be themselves, go out there and have good matches, and see where that leads us. But honestly, when it comes down to it, I care about Finn Balor going up against Seth Rollins more than anything. But there's a big feel about the Brock Lesnar match. He's going to be going up against Randy Orton. I don't really feel like this match has a main event feel to it, but you can tell that this is WWE's main event to SummerSlam, basically coming off of Brock Lesnar. He got pulled from the main event the day of the show. Basically, with the John Jones suspension, they moved Brock Lesnar into the main event. I think that they found out about his drug failure and, slowly moved him out of the main event the day of the show. Basically, knowing that if UFC announced a drug failure by Brock Lesnar, and he still fought, and if the fight ended up being a no contest, people would call the cable companies and get refunds, basically saying that they paid for UFC 200 and they saw a fight, but the fight doesn't count, so they want their money back. So they put the chicks on the main event and gave it a feel that this is the new UFC, it's a new day, it's a new era, a lot like the WWE is. So, but there's a big feel that Goldberg's going to be showing up. Goldberg got all the press, all the run of being in the video game commercial this year. I guess it's WWE 2K17, which is going to be coming out. My roommate Troy, he lives here at the house. He has Xbox Live, and they were giving away 2K16 for free the other day. So he downloaded it. We played a couple matches on it. It was pretty fun. I know why I don't play video games anymore because I wasn't any good at it. I played it for a couple minutes before I realized we were watching a match, and I wasn't even playing. So it is what it is. I'm never really good at the Royal Rumbles, but you can look back over the history of time who's been in the video game commercials. 2K has been really good at building up hype for the video games. Honestly, when you think about it, Goldberg, his DVD sold tons and tons of copies, way more than WWE or anybody else thought it was going to do when it came out a few years ago. But honestly, in my mind, Goldberg has an appeal because we haven't seen this guy wrestle since WrestleMania 20, which is coming up on almost 13 years. And people still long to see this guy to the point where there's still rumors constantly about when Goldberg is going to return to WWE, how Goldberg is going to save wrestling. If we go back to, I think it would be 2002, maybe it was 2003, somewhere in that time period, when WCW had closed down, WWE realized that all of the WCW fans that watched a Monday Nitro when it was canceled were not going to start watching Monday Night Raw. Where did all these wrestling fans go? And all the WCW contracts started to expire. They started to bring these people in, hoping that this was going to bring more people in. Goldberg came into a run in WWE, which, from watching a lot of shoot interviews and watching a lot of interviews, wasn't the run that it was supposed to be. Goldberg says he came to WWE for the one reason that he wanted to have a series of matches with The Rock. Not one match, but a couple of matches over a period of months to see, WWE versus WCW, trying to, squeeze more money out of the invasion without it being the invasion. Goldberg coming in was much bigger than the invasion. It had a whole lot of hype. Goldberg and Rock had a pretty good match. I believe it was Backlash, and then it just sort of dried up. Some people say that Goldberg's run died the night that he debuted, and he put the gold dust wig on, and he wasn't a fighter, he was an entertainer. And Vince and Triple H and the people in charge basically were trying to mock WCW. I think it doesn't really make sense. They put the title on Goldberg, they made him the man. He had a great series of matches against Triple H, and when it comes down to it, he was a lot like Brock Lesnar. He didn't like the travel, he didn't like being a wrestler, he didn't like being on the road, he liked cashing checks, but him and Vince just didn't see eye to eye. He decided he was going to leave because of Brock Lesnar leaving. He got to get the win at WrestleMania because they sort of favored Goldberg. And really, I think they thought that he was going to come back over a series of time. I thought they were going to let him leave. Money would dry up, and they would break him a lot like the way that they've broken other people in the past that said they were never coming back, and they showed up because they needed the paycheck. And there's nowhere else to go. But Goldberg's in the video game. Now people are thinking that he's going to be showing up. People are teasing the fact that there's going to be a Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar match at WrestleMania 33, and that's going to be one of the big hypes for it to be there. The past versus the future. Who is the real beast? What kind of taglines can you really put on this match? I don't know. Honestly, in my mind, I've said this for a long time. Even when TNA was trying to bring Goldberg in, it's been too long. I know this guy wants to have one more big match. He had his chance a few times when WWE called and tried to bring him in, and he said that basically they weren't meeting his demands, aka he wanted more money. And when it comes down to it, WrestleMania 27 would have been one hell of a payday. They could have built up on WWE versus WCW, WrestleMania 27 being involved in Atlanta, the home of WCW, the base, and they could have really built on that, and they didn't. And that's his fault. And we ended up getting Triple H versus Undertaker, which some people were down on, but once they delivered inside of the ring, honestly, in my mind, it's probably the best match that I've ever seen live in my life. Probably one of the best matches that I've ever seen. I put it up there with Angle versus Shawn Michaels as one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time. Match is fucking awesome. And it wasn't even a match that we were supposed to get. It was first it was Undertaker versus Sting, then it was Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. Oh, I apologize. Yeah, Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar, because that's when he and Undertaker had the dust up at UFC. That turned into Undertaker versus Goldberg, which then turned into Undertaker going up against Triple H. Is sort of like he's got to fight somebody kind of match. I don't know. I could see them doing something a lot like the CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin Dream Match interview with Jim Ross. Them just building up like something for online, or something for the network, some sort of a face-off like that. But I really don't think that these guys are going to be getting in the ring and having a match. I think that honestly, in my opinion, Brock Lesnar has got to the point where I don't really know what's left for him in WWE. Honestly, they bring him in because he's a draw. He sells t-shirts, he sells pay-per-views, but in my mind, he's not a main event player. He's done just about everything there is to do. He's not on the show all that long, which does keep him fresh. It's just dumb, is the easiest way to put it, that we know we're going to see him wrestle at SummerSlam, and then we're probably not going to see him again until the Royal Rumble, and that's just going to be it. Because they don't put him on during the fall, because they don't want him. He's a lot like Hulk Hogan. They don't put him on when they know the numbers are going to be bad, because of the fact that they don't want bad numbers when Brock Lesnar's on. So they just put him on during the good peaks to keep things going and sort of point at him as the reason why it's going strong, when actually everything else is hitting, and that's just the way it's going to be. But for the people out there that are Goldberg fans, there's a lot of them. I'm just not one of them. keep your fingers crossed. There's a lot of rumors out there, and we'll see what it builds to. But I'm not thinking that Goldberg is going to be appearing at SummerSlam versus Brock Lesnar.